Welcome back, Guardians. Let's jump straight into this video, and in this video I wanted to talk about the new strike called the Wretched Eye. While I was out in Gamescom, I got to play this a couple of times. I played it on the easiest mode twice and I played it on a normal mode the next time. I wanted to give a brief description of what you have to do and where you have to go, but I wanted to give my overall opinion on how different this strike feels to strikes that we have seen in the past. First and foremost, let's look at the enemies that we will be seeing in this actual strike. And mostly at the start you will see hive enemies, because for some reason the hive are drawn to this energy of Deceiver and they want to protect it for some reason or defend it, and you have to find your way through them while avoiding certain contraptions that slow you down or trap you. And as you go through the strike, you see more and more Deceiver fallen, and you'll see things like dregs, vandals, captains, servitors, shanks, all of these different types of enemies in this one strike. And it all looks cool, they all look amazing. The way the strike's set out, you won't get bored, it won't be repetitive, and it's actually quite fun to play. Now, the actual objective throughout this strike is to destroy Deceiver nodes. Now, these Deceiver nodes are found throughout the map. I believe they might be randomly generated, or at least there are a certain amount of spawns, and they spawn in different positions every time you go into the strike. I can't be too certain about that, but within the 3 strikes that I played, the very first Deceiver node was in 2 separate places. While that's not that big of a deal and doesn't change that much, it's nice to see that it won't just be the same mind-numbingly boring strike that's just repetitive and the same every single time you play it. So once you destroy these Deceiver nodes, more and more doors open, and the further you get into the strike, leading towards the boss. And that's the main objective, is to just find and destroy these Deceiver nodes. They are usually defended by a lot of Deceiver enemies, and sometimes some Frau or some hive enemies will be around also. There's one thing I really want to talk about in this strike and why it's so different to other strikes that I have played in previous Destiny years. It feels open, like it feels massively open. You start out in the Plaguelands and you have to travel through the area, go across a bridge to actually get to the strike, where you go indoors at some point. But even when you're indoors, it still feels very open, and you have a lot of different options and different routes to get to the place where you want to go to. So you will see like Deceiver nodes being activated within this area where there's a lot of verticality, ups and downs, but you don't have to just follow the path. There'll be like little tunnels that you can climb through. There'll be different ways to get to the same area, and that to me just makes it interesting. It makes it more worth your time to play, and it's one of the things I was really impressed with while playing this strike. I felt like I wanted to explore, I felt like I wanted to see what was around, I wanted to go searching for ghosts, I wanted to go searching for secrets, because I believe that there may be a few on this strike, because it just gives you that overwhelming feeling of, I should check over there because something important could be there. And even if that isn't true, it still feels good to be able to play a strike and have this whole wonderment about it, where you're like, oh, this feels like I could go here and get this stuff, or there might be a secret thing here, and that's awesome. What I also felt about this strike is that it was really colourful in a way. I know most of the colours are like whites and greys, and then you get like the reds of the Deceiver node and the reds that are on the Devil Splicers themselves, but something about this just made it easy on the eyes to be able to run through. It wasn't too cluttered with bland colours and such things like that. It felt interesting. It felt like I wanted to look around, like I'd walk over to the bridge and I'd look over the edge. Now usually in a strike you just wouldn't do that, but it felt to me like the scenery, the landscape, the enemies, the colours, it just felt great to run through and play. Whereas you look at something like Omnigul or Fogoth, they're very dingy dark colours, and that's okay because that's the theme of those strikes. But this one just felt different. It felt more open, it felt more worldly, it felt more interesting to me. Now halfway through the strike you get a full-on open the doors and tons of enemies jump out at you and attack you, and they're mostly hive. And while that's always great to have in a strike, it's also very misleading, because you see all these enemies, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get stuck in, I'm going to throw a grenade, I'm going to pop my super, I'm just going to destroy everything. But what happens when that door opens is that there are cannons on the wall, and these cannons get activated by the Deceiver. You can see a node pop up and start to activate it, and those cannons shoot you dead. If they hit you, you are dead. And it took me by surprise. I was like, oh my god, what just happened? And that is always a good feeling to have when playing a new strike or just playing Destiny in general. It's like, oh my god, what just happened? So the experience of this strike as you're going through it, it just feels open, it feels different, it feels unique, it feels like you want to explore. It looks great, the music's great, the audio cues of the NPCs talking to each other all feel natural. They don't feel like you're just being spat information from. It feels like genuine conversation, and all in all, I am super happy with this strike. Apart from the boss, now there is absolutely nothing wrong with the design of the boss. Basically, you fight a big fallen captain-like enemy who's got this big massive pulse gun that fires whatever the ogre fires from its eyes. He's basically took the eye from the ogre, slapped it onto the end of his Seaver infused gun, and he can spray ogre eyes at you, and that's great. And then the ogre runs around smashing everyone up, chasing people, slamming the floor. It's got no sense of eyeball, so it can't see people, so it's sort of just going on and kind of like smell, I guess. And the ogre is totally immune. You cannot do any damage to it whatsoever, which is good in a way, but also bad in a way, in my opinion. It's good that it's this unstoppable force that you have to keep running away from, but it's actually not that difficult to run away from him, which I was really disappointed in. The ads that spawn into the room, specifically the shanks, are more troubling than the massive 20-foot ogre running around slamming the floor. And the basic principle of finishing this fight is you have to kill Kovic, the Splicer Priest, and once you killed him, the ogre just disappears, which I just did not like whatsoever. I want to fight that ogre. I don't want him to just disappear. I want him to be killed by us. So if I was to change how this fight worked, I would have had the battle continue like it does. You have to kill Kovic, the Splicer Priest, first, and when you kill him, maybe the ogre picks up his eye and puts it back in his head and then continues to attack you, or he becomes enraged, which makes him run faster, move faster, hit harder. That is what I would have loved to have seen, because killing Kovic, the Splicer Priest, and then just having this massive ogre just disappear just didn't feel very rewarding in, you know, me wanting to destroy this big monster that's attacking me. But it probably will present a challenge when it comes to things like Nightfall, so, you know, it's just a wait and see kind of attitude, and see how the game and the mechanics of Nightfalls and modifiers change how this actually works. Did I think the strike was easy? Yes, unfortunately I did, because you only have to kill the Splicer Priest. The room itself is not small enough to worry about, so you can run away from the ogre quite easily. And if you have someone just shooting down the ads, especially the shanks, before they even get down into the battlefield, it becomes naturally easier than any strike we have seen before. It is kind of tricky to, you know, use Night Stalker bows on Kovic, because he can teleport throughout the map and make things just that little bit more difficult. But it's not dramatically difficult where it's, you know, worrying to play. So I would definitely like to see what happens in a Nightfall with the modifiers. But the overall design of the fight, I guess, is okay. It works the way that it should work. The ogre can be trouble sometimes. He got me trapped in a corner once and just killed me instantly. But then he ran away after one of my other friends, and then the other one came over and resurrected me, so it wasn't that troubling to actually battle against this ogre. But if I was to give this some kind of rating out of 10, I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10. The whole strike is a great experience. It feels good to play. I was excited to play it even as I played it for the second and third time. Unfortunately for me, the last 2 points are because of the boss fight. But all in all, it's a great strike, and you guys are going to love playing it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, a little review on the new strike. You'll get to play this yourself on September 20th. So I'm really excited to see what people think about this strike. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of my review and what you think of the gameplay. Thank you for watching. I've been Easy Now, and you guys have been awesome. And what would be awesome is if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, and of course that like button. You help me out so much with your support. I love you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.